welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, where we told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We welcome Keita back for part two because we couldn't even get it all. And we may not even be able to get it all through this episode because she has a lot that has went on from childhood into adulthood. Keita, we want to welcome you back. If you can reintroduce yourself, and then City City is going to kick off that first question.
Again, my name is Naquita Hodge.
Oh, that's all you want to say?
Oh, yeah. My name is Naquita Hodge. The pain behind the smile. I saw the title, so I want to say that part.
Okay.
All right, so let's hop into it. Let's get started where your first kind of bout of sickness. How did that come about, and what was that sickness?
It all started with like UTIs. I would have a UTI a lot as a kid. No one really thought about it. It was just like, kids that they don't wipe in the right direction, blah, 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 blah. But that's what started the unfolding of what was to come.
Okay, so you say you were having urinary tract infections, correct?
Yes.
As a child. So as a child, the parents will know if their children are having UTIs. Can you talk about the symptoms that you had as a child and some of the complications that you went through?
I would have some pain with urination, just the typical UTI symptoms, but they just would treat it and it would just keep coming back. And then let's go back. We're talking 50 years ago. Now, if a child my age had a UTI more than 2 or 3 times, they're doing workups. They didn't do that at my age. So I had to deal with the consistent UTIs. They just figured it was part of my DNA, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, not until I was a little older did they figure maybe something was going on. But I remember it starting off with just having the UTI a
lot. Do you think that that's a result of, your sexual assaults?
Could have been
happening to you. That's a direct result, probably.
Could have been. I mean, I never related the two together, but they were coming along at the same time. So, yeah.
And ultimately, what did these UTIs lead up to?
Well, as I got older, I just had to go in more frequently. Plus, I had gained a lot of weight just from the abuse. So you can see my school pictures. So you can see where it started in my school pictures, how I changed. I went from slim fitting, average size, and then I just blew up. I became a big girl. I was saying this in the last episode, that I was pretty heavy then. And I think that was comfort. I was finding comfort through food at that time. So some of the symptoms, they were relating it to food or whatever, what I was eating. So they were trying to watch my diet or whatever. But ultimately, when I became a teenager was when it showed its weirdest ugly head, where I went to the emergency room because I couldn't stop throwing up. And I think I would say I was 16. Not only with that kidney issue, I had uterine issues where I would bleed like for a whole year. Bleed a whole year, then I wouldn't bleed for a whole year. Then it was just not regulated. So I wound up having to go in for that as well. They was putting 2 and 2 together. They figured it was because of my period. So it was causing these issues. So they put me on birth control. So I went on birth control at an early age to regulate my cycle.
What was it like as I don't know, when the menstruals started, how old you were. What were some of the complications of the period, and um, how did you cope with being on a period straight consecutively for a whole year? And then
Yeah.
what age did this start?
I started at 11. I got my period that first time, and it was probably like for 4 days. And then it went away, and my grandmother was trying to teach me how to, be clean or whatever and get through that cycle. Well, it came that one time and it never came back until the next year when I was 12. And when it came back when I was 12, it came back painful and it was very heavy. So I worked through that. And when it came back painful and heavy, it came back and it lasted. It would like slow up, but I would still bleed every single day. And those were days I appreciated at this point. Now that I think back, I didn't have to worry about nobody touching me. But when I turned 13, my period started to kind of regulate, but then I started having like real serious pains, like clotting and all of that, like the premenstrual stuff you go through when you're having your period. All these hormones are changing, or whatever the case may be. By the time I was 16, I had to have my first D&C because I bled so much that I was hemorrhaging, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They put me on birth control. That wasn't regulating it. They gave me these hormone pills, and that wasn't helping it. And I remember we were with, I can't remember the name of the health organization, but I do remember having my first D&C at 16, and I was at Virginia Hospital Center. And I mean, it looked like I was literally having a miscarriage. I was bleeding that bad.
And what is a DNC?
DNC is when they go in and they clean off the walls of your uterus from the shedding that you have when you ovulate. You build up this shedding wall, and that's what you're bleeding out, which your body sheds off when you have your period. So mine was clinging to my body and not shedding off. They thought it was endometriosis, which is another menstrual issue where your wall keeps shedding and shedding and shedding. Mine was not shedding like it should be, and it just was persistent and consistent. So once they did the DNC and put me back on the birth control pills, it regulated, and I had normal cycles after that. But that took time.
Now, what did this cause any issues with you just in your normal life, whether you were working, going to school? Did it cause like attendance issues or things like that?
No, I didn't have attendance issues. I love school. So never had attendance issues. I go to school, period. I had my stuff stacked up and ready. My grandmother prepared me for whatever I needed to be prepared for, even if I needed extra clothes or what have you. I might have had a few accidents, but that didn't bother me, which some kids would be embarrassed, but I had been through it just being at home. So being at school, it wasn't even a big deal. Like, I just knew what to do.
So you going through a lot of stuff at a young age. What did the consistent periods and stuff did that eventually, as you got older, change, or did it go into adult that you had issues, and did the UTIs continue to happen while you were in your menstrual as well?
The UTIs kind of decreased. My menstrual cycle, like I said, kind of got regulated. So of course they summed it up to hormones. And as I got older, I want to say between 19, maybe about 19 years old, I was going to tell you that story. I went to the hospital and I was throwing up. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew I didn't feel good and I knew my back was hurting. And by this time, of course, I had a little brother. I'm 18. He's 4. I got my little brother walking on my back, like my having back pains. And now I'm at like, I want to say I had to be every bit 300 pounds at this point now. I had grown, I have gotten so heavy. That didn't help my periods either. And they realized that I had polycystic ovary syndrome. And that's when you have cysts on your ovaries, and that causes your periods to be off. But that was getting regulated by the birth control, which was great. But then I found out I had kidney stones. I went in the hospital. I was throwing up. They couldn't stop. They didn't know what was going on with me. They did, of course, their regular workup. They did an x-ray. And I remember being in the ER at Mount Vernon. I'll never forget it. And I was laying there and they were just looking at me like strange. Like, I'm like, okay, what's wrong? I know when they're looking at you and they talking and they looking at you, they talking about you. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's the deal? So that's when they came in and told me I had staghorn kidney stones and that they were very difficult to get rid of. They could definitely shut my kidney down. At that time, it was only in one kidney. The other kidney was fine at the time. So they had prepared me for this big surgery that they wanted to do. And that was the start of the kidney journey. We no longer was worried about the fact that I was having my cycle because now we're dealing with these kidney stones. So by the age of 20, we're going 18, 19, by 20, I had my first kidney surgery. Well, they went in, they wanted to do the less invasive surgery, but my insurance wouldn't pay for it. They would pay for the invasive one where they go in and cut your kidney open and take the kidney stones out. Now they don't do that. They go in and put a hole in your back, make you wear a urine bag, and chisel the stones down. That's what they wanted to do when I was when I was 20, but my insurance wouldn't pay for it. So I had to go through the more invasive one. I had 75 staples on my side. They cut my kidney halfway open, took out the staghorn kidney stones. Had to get through that, which I was in the hospital, supposed to be in for 28 days, but I got out in 14. Almost lost my life. Almost bled to death. Had to get a blood transfusion second time, because I had to get one when I had the DNC because I had lost so much blood. That was the worst time of my entire life, I would say. That was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. When you say pain, messing with kidneys, I mean, having a baby is nothing when you're messing with a kidney. Anybody that has a kidney and had kidney issues will know that. It was horrible. But I pushed through it. I got out in 14 days. And that was the start of my journey that I did not realize was going to lead me here to where I'm at now.
So, did the treatments or, what they were doing to treat you work, or did you end up having to get a transplant?
The treatment they did was taking the kidney stones out and blasting. Now, keep in mind, they cut the kidney stones out, but I had to go back to hospital again for them to blast them out, blast the big ones out that were in the bottom. They were taking kidney stones out from the upper channel of my kidney, and they looked like bunches of grapes just stuffed in there. So they had to pull all those out and then blast the 2 big ones I had at the bottom. So that was 2 surgeries there. It helped. It worked. But like I said, I had staghorn kidney stones. So staghorn is a bacteria. If you do not get all of the stones out, leave no debris, they come back and they form quick. So I wound up having to go back and get blasted like every other year, maybe 3 times to try to keep them down. But in doing that to that right kidney, eventually it died. It shriveled up and it died. So that was the end result of trying to save it. They killed it.
Is that even a medical practice for them to do? Do they give you
Yes.
the side effects of what could potentially happen to that kidney if they kept blasting it?
That can happen regardless. I really don't think it was the blasting because it's almost like an ultrasonic ray, and it shakes the stone and breaks it up, and then you urinate it out. That's less invasive than going in and cutting it open. Once you touch a kidney, once you go in and mess with a kidney, they don't repair themselves like that. Some do, some don't. But the surgery I had, it was a given that this kidney was going to die. But that wasn't what they told me. But they told my mama that. They told my mom and my grandmother that. And they was telling me I might not live to see 25. I remember that very well. But I surpassed that, which I was happy with. The kidney died right around my age. I was married at this point. I got married in my 20s. My first husband. Also was working on trying to be a mother. That's when the menstrual, the GYN started where I couldn't get pregnant. I'm thinking I'm having my period every month. I'm producing an egg every month. I should be able to ovulate and have a baby. I got through the kidney part, did well. I had the one kidney, the left kidney, that was just fine. It was doing well, had no problems with that. So I was cleared, safe to, go ahead and try to be a mom. Well, then that was an issue. I went to 3 OBGYNs. All of them were saying the same thing. Because of my polycystic ovary syndrome, my reproductive system was really not the greatest. I did go to a fertility clinic. I did have some work done there. They blew out my tubes. They put me on this medication to make my eggs, make more eggs, make my follicles more mature so that they can pull, get more eggs out of it. I think I had 1 positive pregnancy test, but then that baby didn't make it. When I say didn't make it, by the time I went back, nothing was there. So the pregnancy was positive, but the baby didn't latch onto the uterus like they wanted it to. So it was like what they call it, self miscarriage or whatever the case may be. But I tried. We spent like maybe $15,000 trying to have a baby, me and my first husband, and that never happened. And I winded up having to have a hysterectomy because all that they did trying to get me pregnant kind of destroyed my reproductive system. It became like just soft mush, just nothing was going to hold. My cervix had dropped. It had prolapsed. It was a mess. It was a mess, I can say.
Now, were these, again, kind of stipulations that you were made aware of up front, or you had like a clear understanding that this could happen? Or were you just kind of, driven by your desire to have a child, that part didn't even matter?
It didn't matter. I wanted a child. I wanted 5. So I wanted 5 kids. But it didn't happen. I can say I gave it a try. I didn't give up. I went to Maryland, DC, and Virginia doctors. I didn't give up. But when I went to this last doctor, she was just straightforward with me. She was like, I'm not even going to make you try to push yourself through something I know you're not going to make it through. She said, there's no way you're going to ever have a child. And she said, as a matter of fact, you actually need a hysterectomy. You have cysts as large as grapefruits on your ovaries. You would not even make it through a pregnancy if you got pregnant, because those cysts would grow and it would smother you, kill you, and kill the baby. So I had to wind up going in and I had to get a complete hysterectomy, not just take my uterus and my fallopian, take my uterus, which they usually do, just take your uterus. If you have tumors on the inside of your uterus, these were growths on my ovaries. So they had to take everything, including my cervix. And she thought that one of my ovaries was cancerous, as I had a grapefruit-sized tumor on one of my ovaries. And she came out and told my sister and my mom that she's sending it in right now because she thinks that I have ovarian cancer. Lo and behold, that wasn't true. I did not have cancer, thank God. But I also did not have anything to be a mother with anymore either.
So you done been to all these doctors. You have cysts. How did the other doctors not know this? Like, how many? I mean, did they know? Were they just taking your money?
I think a lot of people misunderstand when you do certain tests and when you go through certain things. Me being a medical profession, and now that I've been in it so long, I know a lot of these things they find are incidental. They're not looking for that. They're not even going to go look for it. If you happen to have an ultrasound and they see it, they'll tell you. For the most part, they don't tell you a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is not reported. If they don't feel that it's pertinent to what you came in there for, they don't tell you. And they do that today. No, they ain't taking your money. That's just how it is. And I'm being honest. I went in the hospital because remember that time my face drooped on one side and they thought I had, what was that? Oh, some kind of a nerve disorder that affects your immune system. Myasthenia gravis. And you have to take it's like a IgG serum, and you have it for the rest of your life, and it could actually kill you. Well, come to find out, that wasn't what it was. They didn't find that. But what they found was I have a pituitary tumor. Now, how many times I done been in the hospital? Now, this is Cookie. This is now, I'm what? In my 40s when they found it. So incidental findings can happen. They told me that tumor had been there a long time. But when they diagnosed me with it, they made it seem like it was just something that was brand new and it just happened and it got to come out and blah, 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 blah. I still have it to this day and nothing's been done about it. So I don't think it's like taking your money. I think they only look for whatever the problem is coming in to find it. When they did the MRI and had to do MRI on my head, they saw the tumor. But they had done MRIs previously because I had polycystic kidney disease. They do it because we are more prone to aneurysms. They do the MRI every year. No one said anything. It was only until I was trying to get my transplant did this come up.
So what about this tumor? Is something you can live with?
You can live with it if it stays the way it is, but if it grows, can eventually mess with my vision. I won't be able to see peripherally. It will mess with my cortisone levels and like in my hormones. And I've already had a hysterectomy. That's already muffed up. So here we are now dealing with something else that can possibly do the same thing, swirl me into something else. For right now, they watch it. I'm at the peak of, do you want to get it removed or do you want to just continue to watch it? Because it's going to have to go either way if it grows any bigger. And that's brain surgery. They go into the base of my brain to get to the pituitary gland, to take the tumor out that is taking up my entire pituitary gland. Like when I go and look, when you look at my images, it looks like a light bulb is on because that's the tumor. But it hasn't caused me any visual issues right now. So right now I just go and get assessed every year. But I diagnosed myself with cystic disorder because I have liver cysts, I had kidney cysts, I've had uterine cysts, I have cysts in my pituitary, and I'm just a walking experiment right now. So don't know what that's going to lead to, but it's something. It's leading to something. But everything is incidental finding, and they find a treatment for it, and they treat it. The kidney situation, I asked, did they still do that surgery that I had done? And I found out they do. They still go in and do it, even though they know the kidney might not survive. I guess the chances are greater that it would survive. So they still do it. If it's at my type of stage, it was a bad case of Stockholm. And I didn't even know. They were like, you didn't feel any pain? And yeah, I felt pain. My back was hurting all the time. And I didn't know that's what it was. I'm a big girl, got a lot of, adipose tissue. My bones trying to carry all this fat, I'm just thinking it's back issues. I'm moving. It wasn't stopping me from doing what I wanted to do. Not until I could not do what I wanted to do is when we realized it was that bad. So those stones could have started forming back when I was younger, up until I became a teenager, into going into my 20s before they realized they were there. That's how healthcare has kind of changed in that matter, that they check now these kids because they find that it goes unnoticed, unlooked at. So they try to catch it early.
How did the extent of your health issues, for one, affect the marriage you were in, the first marriage you were in, and also moving forward?
Always been the breadwinner of my family. I mean, up until today, I've always been the breadwinner in my family. I pushed myself. I started working at 14. I love that. I love nice things. I like, to look nice and do things. And I've always pushed myself beyond limits. I didn't realize it until I got older, but that's what I did. So with my marriage, our marriage got ugly after no production of a baby happened, and then my health started to tell on itself. Problem after problem was coming, and when the first incident I remember, after but right before the hysterectomy, I wound up in the hospital, and they thought I was having a heart attack and a stroke. But I was actually, my husband had stressed me out because he was doing way too much. He was on drugs. We wound up being homeless. I had to live with my mom. He smoked up our money for our down payment for our house when we stayed with my mom, and we saved money. It was just a mess. So in that time, we had got split up because I told him, I'm not taking care of a drug addict. I'm sorry. I can't do that. I think we've gone past the limit. So we split up, and he went in a shelter, and he got himself clean. We got ourselves back together, and we tried to work on it from there. But from there went, here we go again. I think I had my gastric bypass surgery. So they told me with the heart attack and the stroke that I wasn't going to live a long life because I was too big. I was at this point, I want to say 380 something, almost 400 pounds. I think before I had the gastric bypass surgery, I lost, want to say 60 pounds maybe, because I was like, the highest weight was 418, and I got down to three something. I lost weight to get the gastric bypass surgery done. And all that was related to stress, going through problems with him. And after the gastric bypass surgery is when I had to get the hysterectomy. We tried having a baby. That didn't work. We spent all our money. In between all of that, I had gastric bypass. I'm just putting it all together for you. Had gastric bypass. After all of that, I wound up having to have a hysterectomy. So all this bang, bang, bang happened all within like a 3-year time frame with us. And we finally had split up. He was cheating or whatever. And I think that would weigh on our relationship. Me being out a lot. I lost a kidney in that time frame as well. So it was gastric bypass, hysterectomy, lost a kidney. When I lost the kidney was the last stroke for me with him. And that's when we separated. And I was in love with my husband. I love my husband. I loved his last year's underwear. Okay, I loved him. But we had been through everything. Cheating, him being an addict, homelessness, just me being the caretaker. I mean, even in losing my kidney, I almost lost my home because he couldn't even take care of the home while I recuperated. He couldn't even take care of me. I had to go back to work. I worked 2 jobs. I've been working 2 jobs for, 2 jobs at this point when we were married. 10 years? We were married for 7. 7 of those years we were married, I had 2 jobs. I was working at the office as MA and also doing hair. So I was the breadwinner in the family, and then he couldn't bring home the bacon. I married a dud. I'm sorry.
What was it? I have 2 questions. You think a part of your trauma led you to be with him?
And you know what? I didn't want to be with him in the beginning when I met him. I ran from him because I got saved and I was changing my life, and I was like, no, I want to do right. I've been doing wrong. I've been promiscuous and sleeping around and all of that. I know that was a part of my trauma. But when I met him, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to be married, then have a baby and all of that good stuff. So that's what I tried doing with him. We both got saved. We were in the church. We got married at the courthouse. And because he was going to move to Africa, and I was scared he was going to leave and go to Africa, so I married him instead of just waiting.
What, he needed a green card or something?
No, he's American. He was going to move to Africa. I didn't marry him. Yeah, you know that old
look,
threat.
I
I'm gonna.
want to know.
No, he's American. He was American. He had his own traumas. He was a drug addict. I didn't know. His mom tried to tell me she had issues with it as well, and she was trying to share that with me. But you know, you're 20 some years old. I'm survived this, so I'm getting married. I'm going to be a wife. I'm going to have children. It didn't pan out that way.
So he was a drug addict before you got married?
Before we got married, and I didn't know.
Okay, so my and to that twofold is, what was it like dating and marrying a drug addict?
Well, because I didn't know, it was like normal. I guess it was a normalcy for me because I didn't know. I didn't find out about his habit until he disappeared one day and he didn't come home. And I was like worried to death. I didn't know what happened to him. I thought he was left work. Something could have happened in between there, or maybe he had an accident or something. He never came home. It was over 24 hours. And, you can't even report him until it's over a certain amount of time that, your loved one is missing. So I called his friends. I called his family. Nobody knew where he was. I called the police. Finally, after the 24 hours, I was going to report him missing. And I got a phone call from his friend saying that he showed up at his house. So I had somebody take me to Maryland. I go to Maryland and I'm like, what's going on with you? Why? What possessed you to be missing for 24 hours? And he couldn't tell me what was going on. But I'm going to put a pin in that one. Let me go back. Prior to all of that, when we first got married in the first 2 years, I found out the hard way that he also had herpes. And I didn't know it. He knew it, never told me. And I had an outbreak. And that's when he decided to share that with me. Now, this was after trying to have a baby. I never knew this, never showed up anywhere until after all of that. Going through thank God to this day I didn't have a baby, because I have herpes. I could have hurt my child, but I had an outbreak and it was really severe when it came out. And they did the test, and that's the true test, whether you have herpes or not. You can have a sore, it may not even be herpes. You could have scratched yourself, but they do the blood work, and it was true. I did have it, and I got it from him. So I had to work through that with him, along with drug addict, homelessness. Now you're missing for 24 hours, and I'm filing a report to come to find out you went all the way to training, made this money, and spent it all in one night smoking with your best friend, who I called looking for you from, who gave you the drugs, took the money from you. Yeah, that's first husband.
Damn, Keita.
Yeah. So rebuilding on life, dealing with my medical issues. They got it under control. After they took the kidney out, the right kidney out, life was a little better. I didn't have any more infections. I was doing great. Living life, it would be a few things that would come in between there. With kidneys, it's always something's coming about. Well, here comes the polycystic kidney disease, which I didn't know I had, which they didn't mention in the beginning. Come to find out, I had inherited a disorder from my dad. My dad's dad had it, and he actually lost his life to it. He was an amputee. He was a diabetic, and he lost his life to polycystic kidney disease. With polycystic kidney disease, you typically have to get a transplant once the cysts get to a point where the kidney doesn't function. So I wound up getting to that point. It took time. I think I got diagnosed in my early 30s after the gastric bypass. It was like boop, boop, boop. Everything just started coming along. It was And then that wasn't because of the gastric bypass, because I lost the weight, I got healthy, but it showed itself. I've already, keep in mind, I already lost one kidney. Now I'm down to one kidney, and that's the left one. And that was working well. I'm doing well with that, going on with life. And they were watching and monitoring me from year to year. But then I had, other stuff come about, stuff, anything like knee surgery and all that. But yeah, I've had 27 surgeries in my lifetime so far. Last one being 2020, this year. Yeah. No, last year. I'm sorry. A year ago, last year, Mother's Day, I had my gallbladder removed.
Sheesh. Now, were there any illnesses that you did get directly as a result of your weight loss surgery?
They couldn't relate it to the weight loss surgery. I mean, I had the weight loss surgery. I lost the weight. I still was on blood pressure medicine because of the kidney to keep the blood pressure down. But I lost the weight, never got diabetes, had my gallbladder up until last year, which is unheard of. Usually when you have gastric bypass, you lose your gallbladder like a few years later because you've lost so much weight, and it had to accommodate for that. But my gallbladder held out. It did great. It just started acting up last year. So yeah, I mean, everything was always needed and necessary, but a lot of the health issues that I had surrounded being just a kidney patient, period. Because after the kidney stopped working, I had to go on dialysis. That dialysis was planned, the first one. Like, I'm going to my doctor. He's like, you're in 4th stage kidney failure. It's time for you to start thinking about going on dialysis. Well, these are your options. You have peritoneal dialysis, you have hemodialysis. Peritoneal, you do at home. You're on a machine for 12 hours a day, every day. Hemo, you go to a facility, maybe 3 days a week for 4 hours each time you go. So I chose the peritoneal because I was like, I didn't want to do hemo. I didn't want to be held in. And I seen people that was on hemodialysis and they couldn't even function the next day. So I didn't want to be that person. So I kind of I did get on the peritoneal dialysis, and I did pretty good for 2 years on the peritoneal dialysis. And then one day, I got an infection. This is when 2000.
I remember that. I remember that, take the needle out and
yes,
I remember
that was right around in COVID, because I got right around in COVID, because I got married. This is my third husband I was on at this point. My second husband, we only stayed married about a year. He didn't have to go through anything with me. Like we were friends, and we should have just stayed friends. It was more of a, I don't know what that marriage was, but it lasted all of 365 days. I'll just say that. But the third marriage, I was on peritoneal. I was on peritoneal dialysis when I got married. And doing well. I had a wedding. I was working, going to work, still going into the salon and doing hair. I'm still working at this point now. Never stopped both jobs. I'm still working through all of this. I've been at the pediatric office for 27 years, and I've been doing hair since I was 14, but with a license since I was 19. So yeah, I was still working through all of that. Didn't let any of that stop me. So I just kept going until that one day I went to get up from the chair, and I had just got off the machine, did all my work up, going to work, and I sat down and I had this sharp pain in my gut. And I was like, okay, I just stretched it out and I tried to work, but it just kept getting worse and worse and worse over like minutes. It wasn't hours, minutes. And to the point where I couldn't even stand up. So I had to go to the emergency room. All right, we're in COVID. I'm at the emergency room. My husband can't come in. I'm in there by myself. I'm praying and calling on Jesus, as I always always did. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. Did blood work. Come to find out, they went to drain my PD tube and it looked like a milkshake. Clearly an infection. So went in, I become an emergency patient at this point. Hemodialysis getting started. I wake up, I had a port in my neck, just until they can put the fistula, the tunnel catheter in my chest so that I can do hemodialysis, because at this point now it's an emergency. Without the dialysis, I would have died. So I wake up and I'm on the machine. I had to just deal with it. I think Cookie will tell you, I said that I would not do hemo. I'd never wanted to do hemo. I already knew what it was like. But you make a plan, gotta change your plan. But your plan got changed.
Was literally talking about she would rather die.
I'd rather die. I did not want to do that.
She would rather die.
But this was a moment where I had no choice. They had to save my life, and I had no choice. Mm-hmm. So I wake up on dialysis. What am I supposed to do? I'm gonna say take it out on wanted. They went through all of this, so I did it. But yeah. My spirit was so worn out by that time.
I wanna because we almost closed. I can't believe the time went by. We haven't even got through half of this list that we needed to get through. I want to tap in really quick to mental health, because that is a lot of what we do, and all of this surrounded from mental health. I want to tap into, and I know Sid is going to interject because she's probably going to have questions, Keita. So we could try to do these like a minute questions, so we can try to get some questions in. First, I want to ask, you say you were on mental health medication last time for over 20 years. Can you really quick talk about some of the medications you were on, how many medications you were on, and what came to the conclusion to put you on mental health medicine?
The mental health medicine came after the hysterectomy. Once you have a hysterectomy, your hormones change immediately. When I came out of my hysterectomy, I was a ball of sweat. Like, she had gave me hormone patches to put on prior to the surgery. I forgot them. I left them at home. So when I woke up, they had to pull the temperature down in my room to like 60-some degrees because I was burning up, with just on fire. Your hormones are everywhere. The histo came from, of course, being a uterus, but you get historical when you lose those hormones. Your mind, your brain, the cortisols and everything are everywhere when you have a hysterectomy. You cry for no reason. You're sad, you're happy, you're over happy, you're under happy. I had to go on medication along with hormone replacement therapy, which I've been on for over 20 years too. They had to find different medicines for me. I've tried Wellbutrin. I've tried all kinds of serotonin suppressors. I can name a list of them: Lexapro, Wellbutrin, just different ones. It gives you a different reaction. But if you don't have really like a clinical diagnosis, they're really like playing with, let's try this one for a month and see if it works. So you got to try this medicine for a month to see if it works, if it will kick in, if it will take these symptoms away, if it will work. So I think I tried maybe 7 medications before we came up with the one. And that didn't happen until I went into the mental hospital. And they put me on an experimental one, which is called Lamictal. And it's really given for seizures, but it works on the serotonin in your brain.
So what did you find what was the, I guess, perfect combination of treatment that worked in this situation?
By that time, counseling, psychiatry, and the medication was working. You go to counseling. Of course, counseling give you ways to cope with what comes along with the depression when you have those depressed moments, those moments, and you, like, I had a lot of tearful moments, a lot of moments I didn't want to be, but I had to suck it up and do what I needed to do. Going through that with my husband, going through that, wanting to have, not being able to have a baby, going through this kidney situation, going through the divorce and getting married again and getting divorced again. I was on medicine for a long time, and it kind of kept me stable. And they found the right mixture for me, and I've been on it, and I'm still on it to today. Just had to add an extra one after I had my transplant because of anxiety.
And you also mentioned that you went to a mental hospital for a week. I do remember that, but can you talk?
Yeah, I was in there for a week.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about how you ended up in the mental hospital?
I don't know, just something in me. I just was crying. I was just sad. And I kept saying, I don't want to be here anymore. My neighbor kept saying, why do you keep saying that? You're freaking me out. You keep saying that. I was like, what? You know, I was saying it unknowingly, just saying it. She was like, you don't hear yourself? I said, no, I didn't realize I was saying it like that. And she was like, yeah, you were saying it like that. And then just all in one day, I just was crying. I just couldn't stop. And I told her, I can't do it anymore. And she called 911. So I wanted to go to Alexandria Hospital, say, okay, you know, do you want help? And I said, yeah, I want help. I don't want to feel like this. Who wants to feel like this? Like, I don't feel like I don't want to be here. I had one suicidal attempt when I was younger from that stress, where I think I was sad about the whole situation. I took a whole bunch of Tylenol and then didn't do anything but get sick. My grandmother didn't take me to the doctor. You know how that goes back in the day. This time I didn't contemplate wanting to kill myself. I just kept feeling like I didn't want to be here. And so she called and they took me. Alexandria got me help. I wound up in Dominion. Dominion put you in a inpatient stay. You don't typically in for 7 days. You go through counseling classes. You have someone who watches you. They monitor your medicines. You're in a group counseling every single day. You have a roommate that you work with, but it's almost like you're in jail. You cannot have sheets. You can't have shoelaces. Anything that you could possibly hurt yourself with, you can't have. You're locked in. You can only use the phone at certain times. So the majority of the time I was there, I did puzzles and did teamwork in group classes for 7 days. It helped a lot looking at other people though, and what they went through and what they were going through. There was a guy there, he couldn't even be by himself. Even when he went to go use the bathroom, he had to have somebody with him because he was suicidal. He would literally try to take his life. There's someone in the room in there. They're in a padded room and they're trying to hurt themselves, but they have to put them in a padded room. The reality of where you could actually wind up was like in my face when I was in that hospital. So yes, me wanting to get the help and taking the medicine was a plus for me.
What would you say is your current standing, your current mental standing? You know, where are you at mentally? What are some things you feel like, you know, the goals mentally you're still trying to reach, goals mentally and emotionally you're still trying to reach? Just, you know, what's the state of everything right now?
You know, every day's a fight. Every day you want to make it the next day. It's not just medicine. It's your lifestyle too, has to change. The people you surround yourself with have to change. Things in your life have to change. And for me, I think almost losing my life more than one time had to change. My health had to get better. You get depressed when you're on that kind of when your health isn't great. Being on dialysis, that's automatic depression. You're depressed because you don't want to be here. You're stuck to a machine. I had to change my mind thought. Of course, I had given my life to Christ long before then, but I really had to develop a great relationship with God when I was going through what I went through. And I came to the realization that whether or not I got a kidney or not, I have a relationship with God. So I had the victory either way, either in death or life, I would have victory. And I'm still here today and I still have victory. I got a kidney. My neighbor donated me a kidney. My mental health did get shaky with COVID being stuck in. And once it was free time, it's time for people to go out, I had anxiety. So they had to add on to my medicine. But to this day, in 2026, those two medicines that I'm on keep me this happy smile all the time. Not just the medicine, just having a relationship with Jesus is the best thing I could tell anybody. Give your life to Christ. I'm telling you, all that extra stuff, I don't even worry about anymore. I just don't. Do I still need the medicine? Of course. That didn't take that away, but it made it so much more easier. I'll say that.
I've known you for a long time. I've seen your ups and downs, and you've seen my ups and downs and the growth and where we're at from our childish ways to maturing
Yes,
and becoming.
ma'am.
And so I just want to say to you, from being your best friend, I'm proud of you. And I've learned a lot through this last two interviews that I didn't know a lot of the stuff going on. I want to close. I have one last question, and we're going to wrap it up. Unless Sid has another question, but I want to know, for people with the symptoms of herpes and going through outbreaks, what signs do they look for going through the outbreaks to help them get help or get what they need to protect themselves or to prevent spreading?
With herpes, it's protecting yourself. A person that has herpes, I don't care what they tell you, they know they have it. It's very painful. It hurts like hell. It's chickenpox on fleek in one area of your body, so you can tell you having some kind of tension somewhere, and then it'll come out as a sore. So get yourself checked. That's not normal. If you're feeling that, have yourself checked. They will do the blood work. They will let you know if you have that virus. It's a virus. They saying there's a cure for it. I don't know if it is or not. I haven't experienced it. I don't know. I know is I'm on a prophylactic for it for the rest of my life. I take it every other day for the rest of my life because I'm immunosuppressed. So I would catch an outbreak very easily. Protect yourself. I was married and I got herpes. I can imagine people out here that is not married and just having sex with anybody they want to. And some people may not even know. It lies dormant and it will come in and it will roar its head like a roaring lion. So definitely protect yourself. Know your partner. Tell them if you have herpes. It's not a death sentence. It's a virus. People are having relationships and having sex with AIDS. It's a virus. There is help for you. Do not hide it. Do not tell your partner for fear of losing that person. I would respect you better if you tell me and then not tell me. And that's something people don't tell other people. It's something to be shameful with having. It's not. You will be surprised how many people, once I found out I had it and shared it, told me they had it.
Wow. Okay, so we are at time. Really quick, can you give the audience advice from your personal life experience on how to cope with their mental health and if they need medication why they should get medication, because there's so many people that are having mental health issues and they are avoiding taking medication. It's not for them, but they are losing their minds and destroying other people along with themselves from not addressing their mental health.
It's a sad situation with mental health because it's a stigma too. We as Black folks, that that mental health thing. No, we're not talking to nobody. We not taking no medicine. Ain't nothing wrong. We went through slavery. We can get through this. This ain't not. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste. I will not waste my time not taking my medicine ever again. I lost so much of my time trying to deal with my mental health. It's not worth it. If you feel like something is off and something isn't right, if you feel some people are schizophrenic and it doesn't come out until they're in their 20s. I mean, you're 20-some years old. You don't want anything to be wrong with you, but unfortunately, it happens. Please get help. Seek help. If it just starts with saying something to your doctor, I just don't feel myself. And they ask you, that's why those questions are being asked when you go to the emergency room. Do you feel like harming yourself? Do you feel like you're being harmed at home? They're asking you these questions for a reason, because we don't volunteer this information. We keep it to ourselves. Let somebody know. Get the help you need. Look, I'm 55. I'm still here, doing great. Through all of that I went through. I will take my medicine every day. I tried it twice to go without it because I thought I felt better. I will never do that again. Never.
Well, thank you again for being here with us this evening, wrapping everything up, giving us a little bit more clarity, into your life experience and everything that you've been through and healed through. As we do each and every episode, we do like to let you participate in shameless plug. So if you have any business endeavors, anything that you advocate for, where anyone can maybe reach out to you if your story has resonated with them, please let our viewers know. You have the floor.
Well, first I want to say I did support polycystic kidneys PKD Foundation. It's called the Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation. They did a lot of helping me with when I had when I was going through my issues with my kidneys. They have like a run every year. They also raise money to help because we have children that are born with polycystic kidneys. They don't make it to my age. A lot of people don't make it to my age. So they do a lot of help with that. The National Kidney Foundation also financially helps you when you're having kidney issues. A lot of people didn't know anything about that as well. I found that out in my when I was going through. And if you have questions, reach out to me on Facebook. I'll try to answer any questions that you have. You have my Facebook heading, Naquita Hodge. You can look for me. My Instagram, I will open it back up for everybody. Just for those who are wanting to reach out, I'm going to open my Instagram page up on Monday for anyone, which is a holiday, for anyone who wants to reach out to me. And it will be the same handle, Instagram. Instagram, Naquita Cat 7.
Okay. And as a kidney donor, I am a donor. So, we have and a lot of people don't know that about me. I gave my kidney when I was 22. So to someone that didn't appreciate it, but we're not gonna go there. But
we're not
we're not gonna go there. But you just keep.
But you advocate too, Cookie, as a donor. Advocate for it because we don't want to give up an organ. We want to want that organ go right in the ground with us. So yes, please advocate for that.
I advocate all the time. I try to get people to, you can't if you die, you can't take it with you. So
you cannot take it with you. And a complete stranger, they didn't know me, gave me a kidney. So I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you it works. It works.
And you can live with one kidney healthy for the rest of your life. So
yes, you can.
Change clean, but you can live with one kidney. We want to thank you, Keita. I love you. This has
Love
been
you
my best
too.
friend for almost 20 years, maybe longer than that. Lord. But she's been through a lot. We've been through a lot. So thank you for sharing your testimony. I'm so proud of you. It took me a long time to get her on here, but she made it. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep advocating and go open that GoFundMe so we can share it. Go do that GoFundMe.
I'm still working on that, spiritually praying, if for that. I really need to, but I'm not letting pride get in my way. I'm waiting on God. That's all I can say.
Well, that's why you should do it, because you shouldn't let pride get in your way. That's what I'm learning now. we walk with pride so much. We need to do things that But
Amen. I agree.
Yeah. Thank everybody for tuning in to Unfiltered Podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences. Tune in each and every Monday at 8 p.m. ET. Thank you, City Sid.
Thanks, Sid.
I love you, girl. Yes. And like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, Facebook, Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. It is a private group because we want to respect others and what they're going through. And if you cut up, you will get kicked out. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Peace. Oh, Naquita.